Brave Bessie Coleman, Pioneer Aviator by Veronica Freeman Ellis. On October 15, 1922, at an air show in Chicago, Illinois, all eyes were on the sky. A crowd watched a small stunt plane high above begin to dive at top speed. Would it crash? Suddenly, at the last minute, the plane swooped up, shot over the heads of the spectators, and climbed back up into the air. The crowd applauded and cheered. Flying the plane was Bessie Coleman, the first African American to earn a pilot's license. 2 years before, Coleman had left Chicago to follow her dreams of flight. Airplanes were still new inventions. In 1903, the Wright brothers had flown the first powered airplane. By 1922, large audiences were flocking to air shows to enjoy the amazing sight of barnstormers, stunt pilots who flew in loops and spins through the air. Coleman had returned to Chicago to show her family and friends that she, too, could soar across the sky like a bird. Coleman looked brave when she waved to the crowd from the open cockpit of her plane. And she really looked brave when her plane flipped upside down, swirled in spirals, or plunged toward the ground and streaked back upward. But Coleman's bravest actions took place long before she ever learned to fly. During her lifetime, many people didn't believe that women could do something as difficult and dangerous as piloting a plane. African Americans like Coleman were not allowed to attend the same schools, work at the same jobs, or live in the same neighborhoods as white people. But Coleman refused to let these problems get in her way. She set the highest goals for herself and reached them against enormous odds. Coleman was born in 1892. She grew up in Waxahachie, Texas. While her mother worked as a maid, Coleman cared for her sisters, earned money by working in the cotton fields, and still found time to do her schoolwork. After high school, she went to Langston College in Oklahoma. She could only afford to attend classes for 1 year, but by that time, she had already set her sights on the sky. Coleman discovered that in 1911, Harriet Quimby had become the first American woman to receive a pilot's license. Coleman was fascinated. She thought it must be wonderful to fly. After leaving college, Coleman moved to Chicago. There, as she looked in libraries and newspapers for more information, she decided that she wanted to go to flying school. However, few aviation schools in the United States were willing to train women. None of the schools would train an African American woman. Coleman remained determined. She decided to travel to France, where women and people of color had better opportunities. There, she attended one of the best aviation schools in the country. In 1921, she earned her pilot's license. When Coleman returned to the United States, no one would hire her as a pilot because she was African American and a woman. To make a living, she became a barnstormer. Coleman was one of the most daring barnstormers of them all. Her thrilling stunts earned her the nicknames Queen Bess and Brave Bessie. Coleman used her talent to fight for her beliefs. She would not perform at air shows unless African Americans were allowed to attend. In Waxahachie, she refused to fly until people of color were allowed to enter through the same gate as white people. She visited schools and churches all over the United States to encourage African Americans to follow their own dreams and to learn to fly. More than anything, Coleman wanted to start a school to train African American aviators. Sadly, On April 30th, 1926, Coleman was rehearsing for an air show when the gears on her plane jammed. The plane spun out of control and crashed. Coleman died doing what she loved most. But her shining example will always live on. When you face obstacles, just fly right over them.